Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson. I might not have the red and white outfit, I might not have the big beard, I certainly don't have the hair, but I do have the weight. Oh, I absolutely have the weight. I love eating biscuits in your house late at night, and I've got the bulging sack. I think it's a hernia, but I've got a big present for you. The main thing I have got to give you that Santa won't be able to give you in a few hours from now is 3 points for Rangers from their trip to Fir Park, Motherwell. Rangers winning by 2-0 in the Christmas Eve 12 noon kick-off live on Sky. Motherwell 0, Rangers 2. 3 more points in the bag. The weather outside was frightful, but the 3 points were so delightful. There's still a long way to go, but let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It's Christmas, as some kind of hairy guys from the 70s said on a record that's still getting played these days at this time of year. We can finally relax and enjoy Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I'm so glad we're not playing on Boxing Day because the nerves involved watching Rangers, especially when the league title is going so close and we've only won it once in the last decade. So it really means the world to us to be taking Celtic close again, to hopefully pile on the trophies after the one we won this time last week. It's nice to be able to take a break and enjoy Christmas. I'm that age, you know, I've grown up to see New Year just diminishing in its significance. Used to be the biggest holiday of the lot in Scotland. I think we used to work on Christmas Day in Scotland, no, before I was a boy. But then it was New Year that we got off because we went to the drinking. Whereas it's kind of changed over in my lifetime, and I really enjoy Christmas. Last few years I've really enjoyed Christmas. And I don't like anything to spoil it. The only thing that could spoil it, really. The thing that makes children of us all, there's two things: the football and Christmas Day. And if football had gone badly today, it would have spoiled it. But when you look back on it now, despite all my worries, despite all my projections, all my fears, there was no way that football was going to get spoiled today. I am falling. I'm definitely falling again, girlfriends. You know what it's like. I've always got to have a man. I know I've always got to have a man. It's absolutely terrible. And I've just split up with that smooth talking Cockney, you know, that promised me the world. And domestically, you know, things were really fine on a week-to-week basis. But the big occasions, he always let me down. He promised me the world, but he always let me down. This guy, though, I mean, I know he's older. Okay, he's bald, doesn't have any hair, but he's doing that gym all the time. I mean, his figure, his physique, absolutely really impressive for a man of his age. And I want somebody more mature these days. I really think that's what I'm after. And yeah, he took me to Spain and it was absolutely fantastic. What a trip we had over there. If he likes me, he better put a ring on it. And I got the wee engagement just before Christmas. It's always a romantic time to have a proposal. Just the week before Christmas, and last Sunday we got a wee bit of silver on the old finger there. Things are looking good, but I'm not going to commit myself. I'm not going to commit myself until he passes the big test. And it's coming up towards New Year, maybe the 30th of December, that you're expecting the big proposal. And that's where you'll find out what kind of guy he really is. I know that stare, that look he gives you is really intense, you know, but it's not creepy. It's because he wants to know about you. He wants to get involved. It's not about me, he always says. It's about us. How romantic is that? Somebody who just wants to bring happiness to people. He doesn't care about the material things. Well, I do, and I'm glad that he's got one ring on it. If he wants to take another ring on it, he's going to have to do the business on the 30th, and then I'll trust him. Then maybe we can set a date. Maybe next May, maybe the following May. But he's getting really close to that point. I had the smooth talking Cockney. Before that, I had the taciturn. I just go in with the smooth talking Cockney because the previous fella just never said anything, just kept himself to himself. I mean, he had the great gait. I mean, he looked almost like a ladyboy, didn't he? He was so smooth-skinned, he looked so young, plenty of hair, and they wear the wee gloves and the lovely jackets and that kind of thing, but he wasn't a talker. I like somebody that's going to communicate, so I get taken in by the Bromley Barra boy, but this fella, I tried going without. You know, it's like you try going without a man. I went on that holiday to Cyprus, a bit of winter sun. I got the new red outfit on, but it didn't work, did it? It was a disaster. It was terrible. And after the Bromley Barra boy, he'd take me to the shores of Lake Geneva. What a holiday that was going to be. And it was all right. It went okay. We tried again. Went to Holland. It was an absolute nightmare. The writing was on the wall for him. So I'm falling again. You know what I'm like. I always need a man. I'm falling hard for the guy from the City of Diamonds. It's not going to be Brussels sprouts tomorrow. It's going to be Antwerp sprouts. Or maybe Germinal beer shot sprouts. But it really is only the 30th of December between Philippe Clement and total commitment from the Rangers fans, who are falling very hard for him. And it's you want to know that your man can cope with the hard times as well as the good times. And those hard times are continuing in terms of selection. We had Yilmaz back in at left back today. Borna Barisic has not appeared. I just saw the Rangers review, little snapshot, little video in the Rangers review, kind of 4 minutes or so of Philippe Clement in his post-match presser, and he's getting really, really antsy when it comes to the questions about the players' fitness. It's quite a strange thing that he's almost refusing. He sees it as an annoyance to answer key questions about fitness to key players. We had Connor Goldson coming off the park today with about 5 minutes to go or something like that of normal time, and it looked like a precaution. It looked like he was in a wee bit of limping. It was just like, get him off the new, because of the amount of games we've got played just now. The 3 points look like they're in the bag by that point in the game today. But we've got players who are coming off during games still. We've got players who are just not appearing at all, not even on the bench. Borna Barisic. But in came Ridvan Yilmaz. Ross McCausland, he started today wide on the right. I think that's a player we thought might have got a wee bit of a rest today, especially at Way's youth, apart from anything else. Just seeing the amount of effort he put into that game the other night where he kept chapping at the door of the St Johnstone defence, and I remember he was working back deep as well. Ross McCausland, he's had quite a kind of tumultuous run in the first team. Young Ross, it's been a big kind of month or so for him, so you're expecting him to need a break. He's not getting it, needs must. Abdallah Sima continuing on the left-hand side. Dessers up front because he's the only striker we've got. But Todd Cantwell was back in. He's sitting in the 10 position today. You had Tav at right back, Connor Goldson and Leon Balogun as our centre halves, and Super Jack Butland in goals. And I'm starting to wonder, the big talk today was a sitting two in midfield, Kieran Dowell and Dujon Sterling, and they passed that test with flying colours, and the manager himself was saying, yeah, these are two guys that are playing out of position. They haven't played these positions professionally before. He's been testing them in training, but they don't usually play there, so it's absolutely fantastic. And then Motherwell, I know we're going there, and you're thinking, well, it's okay. It's not a big deal to have made a few changes to key positions and go there to a place like Motherwell, because they were second bottom of the league, in the relegation playoff spot. They've conceded more goals than anybody else in Scotland. They're on a terrible run. They haven't won a game since August in the league. They've only won 3 games all season. But I don't know. That's why I was so scared today. That's why I saw the potential for this just ruining my life, ruining my Christmas. It's an amazing thing. I have to refer again to Simon B, who's dropping these stats on the YouTube comment section and the Gersnet YouTube page. You've got to go in and check these out. Spellbinding stats, because, as I've said before, like a good poem, they're telling you something that you were aware of, but you'd never articulated. And that's it. You think back on it, when was the last time Rangers lost a league game in December? When was the last time Rangers failed to win a league game in December? It's kind of hard to think of that, but you don't really got your dates set. Was that game January? Was that game November? It turns out today, in terms of winning games in the calendar month of December, winning league games in the calendar month of December, today was our 25th straight win in the month of December in the league, on the 24th in the year 2023. Absolutely amazing statistic. The last time I'll save that for later. I'll save that for just to keep explaining to you why I was so nervous through this whole game, despite Rangers having it in the bag early doors. But yeah, that was a start, and you're thinking, how are we going to get on today? Is it one of those ones you've got the ghost of Christmas past sitting there in terms of James McFadden? He's always there with Sky. He's always sitting at Fir Park when we go to Fir Park with Sky. But they keep saying to him, you're the guy who scored the only goal of the game, Boxing Day 2002, the last time Motherwell beat Rangers in the league at Fir Park. Boxing Day 2002, you were the guy that scored the only goal of the game, and you keep thinking, but just like the thing if we get beat again today, because he's sitting there as if that's got anything to do with it. No, but I think it's the fact this was Christmas Eve, and the one 21 years ago had been Boxing Day, but I felt like some sort of bookending to it. It's always in these runs that you go on, having won the League Cup for the first time in 12 and a half years, just days after our first ever win in Spain against Spanish opposition to finish top of our Europa League group. It's in these kind of scenarios that the slip-up comes against the last team in the world. You would expect it. It's almost like the players are putting so much into games of that kind of magnitude, and then even maybe coming to Ibrox like we did against Dundee a few weeks ago and against St Johnstone on Wednesday night there. There's stuff happening in these games, the red card and all that, it keeps you focused. Maybe just being at home, it makes life a bit easier in general for Rangers, and you think it's this kind of game. This feels like the kind of time where they'll maybe think, all right, this is going to be okay. And it's a cycle, not deliberately, not in any way deliberately, but the emotional strain of getting us, achieving things that we haven't achieved for years over the last few weeks, they'll just end up just letting it go for a wee while. They'll just take a wee bit of a backseat, take a wee bit of a break, ease things up, and they'll maybe do it during a game where they think that game's going to be won quite easily, and you'll end up slipping up. That's the kind of paranoia I was going through during the game today, and it was almost exacerbated when we scored the goal early on. I mean, it was like 2.5 minutes into the game. What an absolutely cracking goal we scored. We could not have looked more alive, more on it. I'm worrying about slackness. I'm worrying about us taking the foot off the gas as we approach this really pivotal period. This is the pivotal period during this run over the festive period. But I'm worried about slacking off, and we couldn't have looked any sharper. We bullied and harassed, mugged Motherwell deep in their own half. They're trying to play the ball out from the back. We had Kieran Dowell himself coming up and mugging their midfielder after Dessers had pressured Liam Kelly in goals to pass it to their fullback, who wasn't really ready for it. And was it young Ross McCausland, I think, was kind of bullying him. Ends up, Kieran Dowell takes the ball off the midfielder, I can't remember the fella's name. Lovely ball from the edge of the box, just slips it straight into Dessers, who has done that thing where he's just been pressing the goalkeeper. I know we don't think Dessers has got a lot of pace, but he's got a lot of cool. He's got so much focus and so much kind of elan and just a natural kind of grace about him. He's ice cool. The ball comes and he's turning round to face it and lay it off all in one movement, just one touch, and he plays it in between two backtracking Motherwell defenders back to the feet of Kieran Dowell, who takes it a stride into the box, moves it on his left foot and just smashes it right into the top corner. In fact, that's an ugly word, smashes. That doesn't do that graceful placed shot any kind of justice whatsoever. It was a magnificent goal. I forgot Kieran Dowell's name during my preview pod the other day, and that's mostly because I'm old and there's a lot going on at Christmas for an old man like me. And I said he's got to have to do something to help me remember his name, maybe score a goal similar to the one he scored against Livingston. Well, he just did that pretty much straight away, 2.5 minutes into the game, and you're thinking, yeah, this is the best possible start, but maybe this is this is going to make it worse. Now we'll definitely slack off because we've scored against a team that's in a really bad run of form in what seems like an easier fixture. We've gone a goal up early on. You know what it's like. You just go into second gear and you can't get back up through the gears. When you start taking the foot off that gas. I don't know why I keep doing the car illusion. Don't drink and drive at Christmas, folks. But I also was thinking about, there was Scott Arfield sitting next to James McFadden in the Sky gantry, doing the punditry before the game, and that run of Rangers having won 25 straight league games. It was 24 obviously going into the game today in the month of December. The last one we didn't win was back in 2019 up at Pittodrie, December 2019, and we went 2-0 up after quarter of an hour. And so after half an hour it was that day, and Scott Arfield scored one of the goals. Ryan Jack got the other goal. So when we scored the second goal today, it's like 16 minutes into the game, I was still thinking, we could be asking for trouble here. Going 2-0 up is maybe even so early is definitely going to convince Rangers to stop playing. And we've got players who are playing out of position. It could end up being it. I think when you're playing against a team, it's not just fatalism. We've seen it happening so many times before. Psychologically, for the opposition like Motherwell in their situation, where they've been under pressure for weeks now, months. Their manager's under pressure, the players under pressure, their fans aren't happy because they haven't won a game since August. Suddenly find themselves up against Rangers. Now, they drew at Parkhead, as our manager said before the game today in his pre-match interview with Sky. They drew with Celtic at Parkhead, Motherwell, in this run of not winning games. That's a major result. And it's almost like when they come up against opposition teams that are on a bad run, when they come up against opposition that they're not expected to beat, it kind of takes a bit of pressure off them. They're into it's a bonus territory, and I'm worried about Rangers letting themselves off with it. I'm worried about Rangers needing to take a break. Sometimes this kind of situation gives a team like Motherwell a break. So when they went 1-0 down, even when they went 2-0 down to us today, that was the least pressure they've been under on the football field for months, probably. So there's every chance they could have responded to that. The second goal, though, was a thing of absolute beauty. I saw Ridvan hitting Seamus Bars. He just played Ridvan. I'm just going to start calling him Ridvan Yilmad. He's mad. He's insane. The boy's he's mental. He's got all the speed you want. He's very good at ball control, but passing's absolutely, his distribution's horrendous at times. At other times, it's magical. Do you see the bit towards the end of the game where he picked up, was it a bit of pie or something like that, had been thrown at him, and he just kind of, well, I thought that the camera had gone to slow motion or something. He just bent down, really kind of animatedly, and picked up this bit of pie or whatever it was that had been thrown in his direction, and just turned into that Motherwell enclosure, and it was just kind of like, just gave him this withering look of, oh dear, 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 what have you done? Throws the pie away, carries on with the game. He's nuts. He's absolutely barking. But what a ball he played from the left wing, doing his wee wing back bit, shooting up over the halfway line, fires a great ball into Sima at the edge of the box, who controlled it with the kind of lower abdomen type area or whatever. We'll just give the benefit of the doubt and say he was trying to lay it off to Todd Cantwell. I don't think it was. I think he was trying to control it for himself, Sima. He doesn't need any benefit of any doubt, Sima. He's absolutely magical. What a fantastic player. It goes right into the path of Todd Cantwell, who drives it home for Christmas. It was an absolutely fantastic finish from Cantwell. He had to kind of pirouette a bit. He had to stand himself up. He had to kind of clip the shot. He couldn't get full follow through on it, just the way the ball arrived at him too quickly, within his step kind of thing. He didn't walk onto it, Todd, but he's so androgynous. He's just so gender fluid, and he just clipped that ball beautifully into the low left-hand corner as we're looking at it past Liam Kelly. That was 2-0 to Rangers after a quarter of an hour. And it was just me. I had to actually find things to worry about. That's my superstition. Last week at the League Cup final, we're all standing there in the North Enclosure, and Rangers are just trying to see the game out. And it means so much that you're thinking of ways that it could go wrong. You're trying to protect yourself emotionally. We've been through this all week. We're discussing it with fellow Blue Noses. You know what I'm talking about. But I suddenly remembered. It's just like a flashback. My first ever cup final watching Rangers was also a League Cup final, 1981-82. It was I think it was just end of November, beginning of December, same time of year almost, back in 1981, over 40 years ago. And I was in the schoolboys enclosure, because I was a schoolboy. It wasn't like, if I got into schoolboys, if it was a schoolboys enclosure these days, it's still at Hampden. It's over in the main stand, the front main stand. A guy who's 22 stone, bald with big glasses, and a lot of raincoats. Getting into that, it wouldn't be quite as comfortable as that day. But my uncle took me into the schoolboys enclosure because it was cheaper for that cup final. And I remember we went 1-0 down to Dundee United, and I was if you think I'm bad just now, back when I was like kind of 11 coming on 12, I was just so deep into Rangers and the superstition. I ended up putting my feet, in the backs, the steps, the terracing steps. I put my heels onto the riser of the terracing step behind me, so I was almost kind of on my tiptoes. And Rangers moved forward with the ball towards the Dundee United goal. And I thought, that must be a lucky position to stand there. Now, we equalised, I think, with like a quarter hour to go, and then Ian Redford, David Cooper free kick, fantastic. And then Ian Redford scored a sensational winner with, I don't know how, it felt like 5 minutes to go or something like that, out from the edge of the box into the top corner. And we won 2-1, and it was magnificent. But I'd stood there for like 20 minutes to half an hour with my, basically on my tiptoes. And I did it last Sunday when I was wanting to see the game out, wanting Rangers to see the game out. The seats are all, everybody's standing up, and I just was trying to get my heels up against the riser, the step on which the seats are now fixed at Hampden. It was a bit silly, and I nearly went forward and would have flattened the folk in front of me. But it was the things you do, absolutely mad. My thing is just thinking about the worst, never getting too comfortable, and trying to anticipate potential pain before it's realised. We all do it. And I was thinking, yeah, we could still give this game away. We could still, but we didn't. We ended up having a few more shots on goal. And we played really well in the first half. There's a lot of stuff where Cyril Dessers, and I thought Sterling did really well coming forward as well from his this new position for him of the sitting midfielder. We had Yilmaz and Tav coming up in support, obviously, but Dessers was and Sima linking up really well with everybody because they're quality players. And we looked like we were overloading at times, and it was inevitable we were going to get a second goal, but we didn't. We couldn't get that second goal. Right towards the end of the first half, Todd Cantwell had a great shot that brought out a great save from Liam Kelly up towards the top right hand corner. We got another corner from that. Cantwell gets another shot, and it was that kind of I'm worried. Are you getting slack, Rangers? Are you thinking the game's done and you're going to stop trying? The second half, the weather, it was the wind, it was really bad. It was making conditions terrible at Fir Park, which is always quite a kind of windy ground anyway. It's really weird. They've got the big Motorola stand, but then they've got the huge gap. There's the legend. You can see it that Motherwell didn't have. They weren't able to complete building their main stand, so the kind of scaffolding for it is there, but the stand only goes three quarter length. It's to do with sunlight onto those kind of bungalows that are behind Fir Park. Yeah, I think it was a planning objection or something like that. So that's a big gap for wind and that to come through and swirl about. The other stands are really the David Cooper stand and that. Don't take cigarettes to the match. On the fascia of that enclosure, those are really low slung parts of the ground. So it was a horrible day today anyway, really stormy and what have you, but it was making it really bad, blowing the ball about in the pitch. You could see, but neither team were getting anywhere. And I thought Rangers are slacking off. We're going to get into second gear. Motherwell are going to end up coming out and doing something, but it didn't happen at all. All that really happened in the second half was Rangers had 2 goals ruled out for offside, both scored by Cyril Dessers. Fans, obviously, VAR. They've plotted the lines. That'll do for me. You know, that will do for me. If they're thinking it's offside, they're thinking it's off. A lot of people thinking it's just because it was Cyril Dessers that was scoring the goals. They assumed he was offside. The first one a bit more clear than the second one. The second one was deep into injury time. He rounds the keeper, slots it away quite nicely. So it's a couple of nice finishes for Cyril. He's keeping his eye in there, but it wasn't to be. Motherwell had a kind of despicable attempt at a penalty, which will no doubt raise the whole issue of Rangers not having conceded a penalty for so long. It's an issue that's a non-issue. It's been plucked out of fresh air. Teams who do well, who are usually first or second place in the league or win trophies, as Rangers were winning last Sunday, tend to do a lot of good things for a long period, concerted period of time, and a lot of bad things, negative things, don't happen to them for a concerted period of time. So we've been first or second in the top flight for 4 or 5 seasons now, and we won the League Cup last week. We're finishing top of our Europa League group, so it tends to be you're attacking a lot. You're not going to have many chances for the opposition to win penalties against you. This today the guy was just diving. It was just clear as hell that he'd actually kind of copped out. He was in a really good position to get past Yilmaz and cut the ball back across the 6-yard box, but he decided to throw himself into Yilmaz and try and make it look like a penalty. Really clear from at first sight, because the referee wasn't interested, and even clearer from the replays. But no doubt somebody out there will try and convolute this into the pressure to give Celtic 2 or 3 penalties against us at Parkhead on the 30th. But I want to call Cyril Dessers the backboard. That's a nickname I was trying to get going for Olivier Giroud back in 2018 during the World Cup in Russia, where he wasn't scoring any goals, but he was really vital to France because it was almost like an out ball up front, but he was nodding it back down, and guys like Kylian Mbappe and Antoine Griezmann were scoring for France in that World Cup, and Giroud has ended up being top scorer of all time for France, the French national team. But I was trying to get this. I wanted to be the guy that had given him this new nickname. Is the backboard. It's the backboard at basketball, where you go up and you're aiming for the backboard. It's not going to go in the basket, the ring from you know what I'm talking about. If it's going to hit the back, so you aim for that, and it was going to come back, and Giroud was performing the role of the backboard for the French national team. It didn't take off because it's a terrible idea for a nickname, but Cyril Dessers, I think, was doing a lot of that today. 2 goals rolled out for offside, and they both were offside, but he's just providing so much more for the team. He's not got the pace all the time. Obviously, I think that's why he tends to get caught offside. He's trying to compensate for that. He's not got the pace at all. I don't know if he's ever going to get that back, but his anticipation, his movement, you saw him setting up the first goal today for us, just through a real understanding of where his teammates are going to be. The way he was laying it off today is really good. I'm quite surprised to see him lasting the whole game, but who are we going to bring on in his place? My suggestion that went down really well in the preview pod, that we should bring on Sam Lammers and try him up front. That didn't happen. He came on for Cantwell. We also, Joy to the World, a King. I don't know that carol. I don't know the lyrics to that one. But Leon King come on, I don't know, 5 minutes to go. He pushed up, and he's sitting in midfield as well. He was trying out for the sitting midfield berth. So we're getting desperate. We're getting down to the bare bones. What does that say about Bailey Rice if Leon King's coming on for a sitting midfield position when he's primarily a centre half? The only thing I can say with Bailey Rice, I know he looks the part. He's a big unit, Bailey Rice. He looks like a man, so to speak. And when he came on, they played that game against Livingston last season. Good touches, looked great. I just remember going to the 3 home games up at Firhill for the Rangers youth team in the UEFA Youth League, running parallel with the Champions League group stages last season. So I'd go and see Rangers young guys playing against Liverpool, Ajax, Napoli in the afternoon, and go off to the game at Ibrox that night. But Bailey Rice, he got sent off in one of those games and was fantastic in another one. A mixed bag for the youth team. But I remember waiting outside. I was waiting for Colin Armstrong of Gersnet. I was meeting him up at Firhill. Colin Armstrong, legend of Gersnet, and I was just hanging about outside the front while the players are coming out the main doors at Firhill, and they were getting picked up. I don't think it was a team bus. It was like their parent, and I just remember this voice going, "Mum, you're supposed to bring the car up," and it was. I don't think it was Bailey Rice, but it was one of his teammates, and it just brought it home how young these guys are. They're just really, really young. They might look the part physically, they might be turning into men, but mentally there's a long way to go for a lot of them in terms of maturity, and that was the word today, mature. It was used by Leon Balogun in his sensational post-match. He's just brilliant, Leon Balogun, isn't he? He's just like your uncle or something. He's just one of the guys you trust. He's a deep thinker, but he knows not to be pretentious, so he takes the mick out himself as well. He's got no illusions. He's telling us that we're, pretty horrible support to play for when things aren't going well, but that he's cool with that. That doesn't bother him. He sees that's part of the honour of playing for Rangers, and you should put him out in front of the cameras after every game. Other than that, it should be the big Belgian beauty himself. The manager was talking about the maturity of the performance today as well. And the thing I've noticed with Philippe Clement in his press conferences, I'm trying to put my finger on it, what exactly it is that's so special, and what it is the results. The minute we get beat at Parkhead or something like that, we have a bad result, then his press conferences will be stinking because I am your typical hypocritical Rangers fan. But he will actually disagree with the tone of interviewers. A lot of times, I look back at him and I think he sounded like he was disagreeing with that interviewer, but he's actually agreed with the point. But he can see that the interviewer is trying to say, "Oh, you scored a couple of goals early today. That was really that's what you wanted to get the goals scored." It was in the Rangers Review clip of the post-match press conference, deep in the bowels of Fir Park, and then somebody said to him, "It was really good to get the goals scored before the weather had gone downhill. It was really, on a day that the weather was going to get really bad at Fir Park. You've done really well to get the 2 goals scored early before it got too kind of windy and what have you." And it's almost like he ends up saying, no, but you've always got to try and play really well. You've always got to try and start games really well, and that. And it's like the guy's not saying anything to disagree with. The reporter hasn't said anything to disagree with, but Philippe Clement hasn't liked the tone because the tone has sounded slack. The tone has invited Philippe Clement to go, "Yeah, we got the game done and dusted." He's not having that. It's the focus is absolutely relentless on every question. He does not do platitudes. Particularly, it's almost like he's more averse to platitudes that compliment Rangers because that'll reek of slackness. It's really interesting to watch him, and you can see he's studying every question as it's getting asked of him. There's none of this hiding behind the fact that he's speaking in a second language. He's focused beyond all belief. Even, was it the phrase today, not to go to satisfaction? What you got to do next, Philip? I think he was getting asked when it comes to preparing for these games against Ross County on Wednesday and Celtic on the 5th. Not to go to satisfaction, because the players, he's telling the players there's a lot of parties going on just now. All your family and all that are staying out late and they're eating and drinking stuff that you are not allowed to eat and drink as a professional playing for Rangers. And they're going to be in on Christmas Day. They're going to be in tomorrow training, and the focus is going to stay. I think we're looking great just now, folks. We're looking great, but there is a long way to go. I want to know what's going on with Cantwell's celebration. What was that thing he was doing with the fingers? The youth, it was like an M or something he was making. What's that all about? Is it Motherwell? Because that's the second game in a row at Fir Park that Todd Cantwell has scored in, or is his girlfriend or wife or something? She like Marianne or Mary or something. I don't know, maybe it wasn't an M, maybe I'm not reading it properly, but that was a big mystery for me today. But the main thing was we got the 3 points, and the main thing is we can all enjoy Christmas. Look, folks, I don't, my patter is always just on behalf of myself. I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of everybody at Gersnet, but this is one of the occasions I can. As I say, it's the 30th, no, 31st, we're still getting New Year coming up. That is the end of the year. That's the time for reflection and what have you. But Christmas is a time for enjoying yourself with your family. I'm going to go and do that right now. And I'm going to start off with a wee beer. But it's something I didn't say last Sunday when I was ranting and raving outside Hampden after the old cup final. And that James Bisgrove just stalking me, totally distracted me from the point I was making. I was going on and on about James Tavernier and everything that Tav had done for the club since he arrived at the club. And they're still in the championship, you know, and he scored in his first competitive game. The first goal in that first competitive game was against Hibs in the Challenge Cup at Easter Road, and then he scored the only goal of the game when we got promoted that season back into the top flight, and on it's gone, taking us to European finals and what have you. And for me, that's why Tav's a hero, because he's lifted all 3 of the trophies on our way back from what happened, from us being in the lower leagues. But the one thing I meant to say at the end of that, I was going to round it off by saying the only person who has done more than Tav in getting us from those lower leagues back to the top is you, is your good self. Every Blue Nose out there, we really have stuck by the club, and amazing style, amazing loyalty, and we're the most romantic story in Scottish football. That's a crazy thing. Rangers, the big evil, big bad Rangers, and you know it's not easy. It's becoming a thing, a social thing as well. It's quite difficult sometimes. You go into company with people, usually people who are not that involved in football, but we're a very easy thing to hate these days. Even people who declare themselves to be totally non-bigoted. I know a lot of people on the left. When they call themselves very open-minded and what have you, they need to have their wee bigotry to get that part of their personality out there, and it's usually Rangers that get it. So it's not been easy for us in a lot of ways, even though we're a big club who wins more games than we lose. But I just want to say to you folks, have an absolutely smashing Christmas. Enjoy yourself over the next couple of days before we get back down to it in Wednesday. But on behalf of, this is one time I can say, on behalf of Frankie and everybody else at Gersnet, all the best to you folks, all the best to them, all the rest of the boys at Gersnet, but all the best to you folks, our loyal listeners. Thanks very much. I'm keeping it German with a beer, but we'll be keeping it Rangers next week and into New Year. Thanks folks, Merry Christmas.